Hey guys, I'm John Carrick. I am the author of Legacy of a Mad Scientist and Legend of Ashley Fox, two amazing science fiction fantasy novels for you guys. Links to Amazon are in the description, as well as Smashwords where you can get the ebooks, or you can listen to them right here on YouTube for free. And let's jump right in, because this is why we're here. Conan the Barbarian, Red Nails, by Roy Thomas and Barry Smith. This one features Valeria. This is the second part. Now, this story is awesome. Robert E. Howard does everything right. He's not working with art, so his story has to be great. Some of the story in modern comics is equivalent to, if it was turned into art, it would look like a junior high school had drawn it. Junior high school kid had drawn it with no experience, no information about what story's supposed to do. You guys have really thrown it away. Since Youngblood #1, you guys have thrown story out the window because you don't need story to sell a comic. The art sells the comic, right? That's what you say, the art sells the comic? Yeah, but the story's how the customer decides whether or not they got their money's worth. And to write a good story, you have to sit down with a clear conscience and you have to know what you're doing. This guy knew what he was doing. Robert E. Howard, in this one, this was his last story, his first Valeria story. It's the first time Conan met Valeria. His last story. It's his best. It's easily his best. And I'll show you why I think so. Because it's not an indulgent setup. It certainly is drawn out as an indulgent setup, but it's perfectly done. I'm telling you, he knew how Conan was going to kill this dragon before he ever wrote the idea that Valeria and her horse went to water at a small pool. He knew that Valeria was going to get stranded and see this city. He knew that Conan was going to sneak up on her. He knew that the dragon was going to trap them up there, and or maybe all of this happened on the fly, but it worked out really, really, really well. If all of this happened on the fly, he is a master and he captured lightning in a bottle, because the true genius of this bit isn't that they're trapped by a dragon. It isn't the fact that they're trapped by a dragon next to a corpse, or the fact that they're trapped by a dragon next to a corpse next to poison apples. That's really where the genius comes in. So the corpse ate the poison apples. Conan uses that to poison his sword and make a spear to kill a giant dinosaur. That's brilliant. That's smart. That's Tarzan using a rope and a knife to catch and kill a lion. You can't kill a lion face to face. You have to trap it. You can't trap a fox. You have to corner it and fight it. Foxes get past traps. Lions get trapped because lions are brave. That's the difference. Mankind can be both. Wolves can be both, and wolves can be dumb on both sides too. Wolves can both be bullied and trapped. But regardless, this is great writing. This is great writing. And this was serialized. I don't know how many chapters it was broken up into. I'm guessing 3. It makes sense. This would be short enough to fit into a magazine. And then they get at the end of this first chapter, they end up in the city, sort of doing a recap of yesterday's. Valeria stares into the magic mask and smashes it. I love that about her character. She doesn't try and use it. She doesn't get seduced by it. Robert E. Howard knows what he's doing. She is a girly girl, but she still defends herself. And so that's the last page of chapter 1. Neighbor's dog is jealous. You guys are getting all my attention. Here we get chapter 2. Conan. As this he comes from the lurker from the catacombs. The dog's barking at the mailman, not at me. So Conan has left Valeria alone, and she's wandered off and got into a fight, right? She's facing down all these bad guys. It's hard to turn a page upside down. She had fallen asleep. Conan left her in a spot, said, "Don't leave," and she did. And so Conan finds her again, and she has killed 3 Stygians and is fighting the last 2. Now, all these Stygians have Aztec names. I noticed that yesterday, and today's reading reinforced that, which is fine. I don't care. Who cares? Aztecs in Africa is awesome. That's fucking great. And we also get a flashback. There's a mandatory flashback. We had one in the last issue. We get one in this one too. Conan helps Valeria kill these guys in a very brutal fashion. I love Barry Smith's art here. And I am also convinced that these smaller pages were drawn on smaller paper, whether it was like 11 by 14 or something like that. I don't know. You know, maybe legal tablets. But legal tablets are more narrow. I'm thinking like those big spiral bound sketchbooks. That's probably what he drew on, and it was more square than portrait. And so, because there's a couple shots in here. Oh, I love this panel down here at the bottom. Valeria cleaning her sword on her sleeve. That's all Barry Smith. That's not in the script, I'm guessing. He did that on his own. That's what makes comics great. That's where you get more, that's where it's really magic, you know? You get the writing plus a little bit more. She's not just standing there holding the sword. She's doing something. And there's a few more shots that are really cool in here, and I hope I noticed them. There's one where the bad guy's face is really hard to see. It's hard to see what's going on. And the story takes a much sharper turn, too. So this guy, they talk to this guy, and he's offering them the world on a plate if they will come back to him to help his side beat the other side, these 2 tribes that are down to less than like 40 or 50 members per tribe. Because where they just killed 5 guys right now. Oh, and here they take a shortcut. This is important. They take a shortcut down into the bowels of the city, sort of like the sewers. And they get chased by something that they don't see, and Conan slashes it as they're coming up the stairs, and they shut the stairs door behind it, and it breaks through the door. This is more brilliant artwork by Barry Smith. Look at this door being shattered apart on this page. We had a couple panels of it. That's some kind of creature, you know? We're in an area where they have dinosaurs, so this is long before the rise of the Greek and Roman empires. And so this monster that Conan gives it a good slash. This is the panel where he really gets into it. They say he gets a good slash out of it, and it couldn't have lived, whatever it is. And this was great writing. I've read this as a novel. I've read this in Savage Sword. I think this has been adapted 3 or 4 times. Red Nails is... Maybe the Savage Sword version is a black and white version of this, for all I remember. But I think there's more than one version of this, of Red Nails. And there probably is by now, but I think there was more than one version in the 80s. So here we get another Aztec name. This guy is named Olmec. And one group is the Tecaholti, and the other group is the Zotli. So they are Aztecs, and they're living in a city they did not build. They get the whole story right here from from these guys. Let me back up and see if they didn't already tell it. No, they didn't tell it yet. But here, so there's a princess and this sort of chief, and they're having a sort of feudal war, just like Troy, only it's inside a city, and they're besieged from 2 ends of the city over this princess. Both sides are after her. And Robert E. Howard packed a lot of stuff into this one story. So we get Diana of Troy, right? First we get the fighting the dragons, which is awesome. Then we get siege warfare and this feud, which is sort of like Diana of Troy. And then we get this Diana of Troy character. I'm just going to spoil it for you guys because they write a bunch of hints in, and I'm not going to try and do the mystery to the end of this video. Basically, she is like 70 or 80 or 100 years old and has kept herself young by this Elizabeth Bathory process, and she is also able to hypnotize men. She is like a low-level witch, right? Or a high-level witch, I guess. She doesn't converse with demons, but she's able to mesmerize people, and she has Elizabeth Bathory vampiric powers, and she's got her heart set on Valeria, and Olmec wants Valeria too. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts in here, and that's good. That's the way it should be. Everyone has an agenda. People shouldn't just be NPCs. All of these characters want something. Even this little toady character, when he gets back, he gets to tell his chief and princess that they can add 5 new nails to the red post. And that's what they're excited about. So they're also incredibly grisly people. They've got this is what the red nails are about. They've got this red post behind them, and every time they kill one of their enemies, they add a nail to it. These people are savages, like to the nines. This is the backstory of how they came. Oh, this page just ripped out. This is the backstory of how they came to be here. And how the feud happened, sort of the Diana of Troy thing I was just telling all you guys. And this is absolutely Barry Smith's colors. Look at how bright they are. That's one thing he does so well. His colors are really, really vibrant. And I remember thinking that yesterday when I was looking at a Morbius thing, and some of the stuff inside here, inside the city. Let me get inside the city and I'll show you what I mean. Like, look at these reds on the outside first. Right? This is Barry Smith's colors. It's a visual delight. It is a feast for the eyes. The colors are so bright. That's one thing that great comic book artists do well, great colorists. They give the art that it doesn't matter what the theme of the story is. This can still be, even the Batman stories with all the black have a lot of color to them. That's what makes it a comic. That's especially what makes it a good comic. Look at this page. The colors on this page. I mean, it's a rainbow. I suppose that's gay. But look at Valeria. Look at the skull mask over her face. Which, this is my story. The story I'm working on has a lot of this. The Jinn, who are the bad guys of the story that I'm working on right now, are flooding the sort of the witches, the cults, the American cults with these masks that are really sort of mind control devices like Halloween 3. 8 more days till Halloween, 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 Silver Shamrock. I'm sure you guys remember that. That movie was terrifying. Sorry, this page got ripped out. It's bugging me. So here they are before the king and queen, and Valeria in her... Now this is another reason I think this did not get published regular, aside from the problems with the dimensions. For the next 3 pages, Valeria is not wearing a shirt. I hope this doesn't get my channel struck, because there are no nipples, so it really shouldn't count. But she, the princess sneaks into her bedroom. No, not the princess. The princess is handmaiden Yasmila. They're always named Yasmila. I don't know why. Or Yesenia, or Yas. It's something like that. I'm going to read it really quick. Yasala. Valeria catches her down in the bottom panels. Her name is Yasala. And she is trying to poison Valeria with the purple lotus, which if it hadn't touched her face, she wouldn't have woken up and she would have been completely drugged. There is a drug like this. You guys should absolutely watch the Vice documentary on the Borrachero salvatrucha tree, which creates a drug called scopolamine. And there's a powdered version of it like Datura that is a mind control drug that makes your brain not write new memories and makes you completely suggestible to the enemy's will, which is what they should have done to Tarzan back in that other book. But it's a drug from South America, not from Africa. And if the writers had known about it in 70s New York, they would have given themselves away as probably hanging out with Bill Cosby and drugging women. And since those writers were Jews in New York, they probably do know about that drug and probably have used it on women. Here's something else I want to say that I have been thinking about for a few days, and now's a good point. Now's a good time for it. Only divide the battle space once, right? What I mean by that is, and I learned this from a friend of mine who's very into urban sort of special ops and overthrowing governments. Reading it in reference, like history about it, how it's done, how our government has done it in South America and in the Baltic states and in the Middle East over and over and over again. We just saw it in Syria. So one of the things you do is just divide the battle space once amongst the civilian populace, find a group of people and give them a wedge issue and make it their one issue. And on your side, you can only fight one battle at a time, so only choose one enemy at a time, because you will draw that enemy's attention on you, and if you're doing hit and run raids on 3 different enemies, they will gang up against you, which is what we're kind of seeing in white culture right now as organized by the Jews, the coalition of the minorities that they're running against white men, including white women. White women are part of their coalition of minorities, only they're starting to cotton on to it, and so is everybody else. So we can talk about the clergy plan more tomorrow. In the meantime, Valeria has taken Yasmila hostage and is whipping her. Without a shirt on, Valeria is whipping Yasela, and is demanding the truth from her, and she finally tells her that her princess did it, and she wants her captured, and Valeria agrees to give her a drink of wine. Yasela splashes the wine in her face, and she flees the chamber, and Valeria goes out after her without putting on a shirt. Eventually, she sees that she's gotten away, and she goes back into her room, and then we cut back to Conan. Here's where we get one of the odd cuts in the middle of a page. You get the top third is Valeria, the bottom 2/3 are Conan, which this is Barry Smith. He can do whatever the hell he wants. I will never complain about Barry Smith's work. But in lesser artists, I would call that out as a bad cut. But whatever. I mean, what right do I have to call that a bad cut? I'm just glad these are all regular panels and there's no inset panels. There aren't any splash pages or double page spreads either. I would much rather have a couple of those. I really like how Sal Buscema organized his pages. He would give you some big, he would do like all of these would be one panel, or all of this would be one panel, and these would be, I really like that. I hate inset panels. I despise inset panels. I love Todd McFarlane. Todd McFarlane can do whatever he wants. Barry Smith can do whatever he wants. But lesser artists, sort of like John Malin with Splatter. Yeah, I think he says Mark Silvestri can do it, but nobody else, or something like that. He has some rule like that. And so here, did I skip past what happens? I think I did a little bit. Conan and Valeria meet up and fight a bunch of Stygians who have invaded the temple while Valeria was sleeping. She put her shirt back on. And so now someone has let the enemy group, which is the Zolti or the Toltecs, I don't know which one we're with, the one where Olmec and Tassala, I don't remember what, Tatiana, something like that, the princess, the Bathory princess, the Bathory princess is on the home team. The skull guys were the other team. The magic skull guys. And so Conan and Valeria kill a whole bunch of guys. And then they go, so take a good look at this, you guys. They fight off 20 enemy warriors and are absolutely drenched in blood. Valeria and Conan are covered in it. And Olmec is totally impressed. This is where he really falls in love with Valeria. And he's excited because they're adding 20 red nails to the column now. This is a savage story. Conan and Valeria are out of their depths. These people are out of their minds. They're evil incarnate. And they are concerned with how did they get in. We thought we were safe. And they find that one of these guys had these magic pipes. And Olmec again, so Conan does just like Valeria had done earlier. Instead of taking up the magical mask and using it to her own devices or being subdued by it, Conan finds these magical pipes, which this group is familiar with, and they can use them to the enemies use them to mind control their group, and Conan crushes them in his hand, whereas Olmec may have decided to keep them. Kind of like the Lord of the Rings, where the first, what was the guy's name? Aragorn's ancestor didn't throw the ring into the pit, into Mount Doom the first time. Yeah, and so here, after Conan agreed, what is he? Conan heads off to face the other group, and Olmec seizes Valeria and bear hugs suffocates her, bear hugs her to asleep, sort of like a chokehold, but not like the way Daniel Penny did it. Semper Fi, bro. That was badass shit. But here, and so divide the battle space once. I mean, the Jews are the real problem in the United States, not the blacks. The blacks are the Jews' tool, and divide the battle space once means I mostly talk shit about Jews on this channel and regard blacks as their servants, because that's what they are. Divide the battle space once. Here we have so many things going on. Olmec then gets confronted by one of his own guys when he catches him carrying off Valeria. And this guy has been told to seize Valeria for the queen. And Olmec knocks him out because he's got his own plans for Valeria. And then we cut to Conan, who is now invading the other team's stronghold. And they find the door open. And inside their chamber, they find this was the crawler in the darkness. All of this got a lot more paragraphs, a lot more screen time in the novel, in the serialized version. I don't know how many episodes it was in the Weird Tales magazine, but it got more. There was Robert E. Howard wrote more than we're getting here. So here's this lizard that Conan killed that had crawled on and died, and it's a shame we don't have a bigger panel of it. These are all small panels. This whole book is small panels. I mean, look, we've got what? It's a lot right there. 8 on this page alone, and that's pretty average for this book. Not that I'm complaining, you know, but it is definitely average. Here we've got 9, 2 pages and 9. It's not bad. 18 panels. They're a little staggered. It's a little hard to tell exactly what's going on, but once you read the words, it's easy. Conan comes in and finds these guys, instead of putting red nails into a column, they literally take the heads of their enemies and put them behind this glass wall. I don't know why they have glass. I think Barry Smith wrote glass or did the glass on his own because it looked cool. He might have seen Sal Buscema do that bit where Tarzan breaks the glass to get into the store window. This is later. This came out in '83. I don't know when it was drawn. This may have been drawn before or after he did his Conan run. Regardless, Conan smashes the glass. Conan doesn't smash the glass. One of these guys smashes the glass and takes the head of his brother and goes nuts. And he attacks Conan and then accidentally kills the other member of the group that's with them, and then Conan kills him. So now Conan is the only one left. He came there with 2 guys. One of them went nuts, kills the other one. Conan has to kill him. Meanwhile, Valeria is being manhandled by Olmec, and he gets caught by his wife. His wife, who's been passed back and forth between these rival chieftains and has caused all this bloodshed in the first place, which makes sense when you realize that she's killing all the pretty girls in the village to maintain her youthful appearance. I didn't watch that movie Substance, but I'm guessing it's made of pretty girls. Regardless, here we get her catching Olmec and mesmerizing him. She only has 2 powers, mesmerizing men and turning girls into youthful immortality serum. So she knocks him out and drags Valeria off. Does she drag Valeria off or does Valeria escape? I think Valeria fights her a bit. Valeria fights her, but she is stronger, and she ties Valeria's hands behind her back, and Conan is on his way back. Sorry for the middle finger. I'm going to try not to do that. Conan is on his way back, and that will be tomorrow. But I also have something else I got in the mail. Some of you guys may have noticed it. I don't know how high the camera, just the camera shows you guys of the couch. I haven't looked at it lately. Look at what we've got. Some of you might remember this. This is number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. And this is the Christmas special. This is number 5. And this is the Christmas special. Somehow I got out of order. But these are Trencher. You guys may remember this book. This is an early Image Comics. And I wanted to see so much, I expected to see so much more of this chaos. I thought this book was going to run forever, but I also wondered, how can this book possibly run forever? They need a story. He needs help. He needs, this is awesome, but it needs a little bit, it's not quite there. I think this book is one of the great tragedies of Image Comics. You could say it's beautiful art, and it is, but I also feel like it's just 5 steps away from being cartoon worthy. See, that's what I think comic books should be. Comic books should not be pitches for Netflix. Unless they're pitches for Netflix cartoons. That's what comic books should be. Adult cartoons. G.I. Joe was almost an adult level cartoon. The animation certainly was worth it. The animation was worthy of adults. Archer is a lot less quality than G.I. Joe. Look at this. Look at this. This is insane. So I don't know when we're going to start this after Conan. We're going to finish Secret. I want to finish Secret. I only read 1 or 2 of these. I didn't keep up with it. This had a huge effect, not a huge effect on me, but this had an effect on me in the early 90s when Image launched. I am a decent artist. I'm a really good writer. Last night I wrote the best chapter for this story. Not the best chapter I've ever written. Certainly not as good as the upcoming chapters, because this story, I like to write stories that ramp up. If I could name a movie as the most influential to my writing style, it would be Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. That braided storyline, which has a lot in common with Lord of the Rings, has a lot in common with most, how would I phrase this? There's an ensemble group stories, which is the one that I'm writing now. It's an ensemble story, whereas these are really stories about Ashley, and I break off and show other characters, but she is the main character. I show the villains, I show other good guys, I give them scenes, I give them little mini stories, I give them character arcs, or they demand character arcs is a better way of saying it. The more important thing is that this is her story, this is about her. And Reverend Wolf is in it, and he's a great character, and I love him, he's her backup, but this is Ashley's story. She's the one, as a matter of fact, right here, Reverend Wolf takes one of the bad guys over a balcony, and he is mostly robot, cyborg, very heavy, very electronic. He goes into the water, and she doesn't know when she's going to see him again. It might be a while. He might be shorted out because he needed some work, and he hasn't been swimming so well. And although they do swim across the river to get there, so why should he have a problem going into the water unless the explosions that he deals with these reapers, have damaged his circuitry, and considering the fact that we don't see him for the rest of this book, he may be in trouble. But that's also because Ashley gets hijacked by Valeria in this story. So it is really nice to be doing Valeria's only real comic book appearance. I know there's some Valeria and Bellet comics out now that Marvel has licensed the character, or has just continued to use her. My character is not the same Valeria. She rescues a princess, but there are a lot of Aesir and Vanner girls named Valeria. And just because my Valeria does rescue a princess, she is struck by an arrow or killed while rescuing the princess, but not the same way Conan's Valeria was, she actually takes an arrow by stepping in front of the princess, an arrow that was meant for the princess, sort of like when Subutai catches Thulsa Doom's snake arrow with his shield and doesn't get bit and saves the princess at the end of Conan the Barbarian. So yeah. We are also on to a new conflicted deck. This is deck number 2. Most of the last ones left in the last deck were pretty bitter. They were the dregs, and I'm not going to force that upon you guys. So I'm going to take a second to read this again. So guys, this is our first card for conflicted deck 2, and I believe this is the Ace of Spades right up here on the top corner. Last time the Ace of Spades was just an ad for the deck. I didn't like that. I'm glad this is better. This deck has not been shuffled. They are all in order. I haven't decided whether or not I will shuffle them yet. But this is an interesting one. It's already the end of the world. Civilization has already collapsed. And, oh, did you guys see the trailer for 28 Years Later? That looks good. But civilization has already collapsed. And your group contracts the flu, a very deadly outbreak of the flu, and a third of them have contracted it. What do you do? Here are the options they lay out for you. Your options are to banish them or to eliminate them, to take it upon yourself to eliminate them. So they're saying you could drive them from your homeland, your area, which in fact may be just what some of them need, a little bit of fresh air and exercise. Some of them may recover. But you can do that, or you can murder them in their beds. Or drag them out of the town and murder them at the edge of the village. Here's a third option that they didn't think of. This isn't an answer. This is just something to put forward to the community, to the group at large, and see if you guys want to consider this. What about we leave? Because it's not just the people who are contaminated, it's the living area. And unless you're in separate homes and you're in a big gated community, the homes that the people are living in, if you're all living in a big building like a hospital or a high school or something like that, the entire area is contaminated. So what I would recommend is you take the 2/3 of you that are healthy, and you take half the supplies and you go on the road. And you leave those sick people half the supplies. You leave them more than what you take with you. I think that's a sacrifice everyone could live with. And I mean live with. And you don't just leave. Some of the group stays in the area to care for the people who are sick and get as many of them to recover as possible. So you have to split your group maybe into thirds. 1/3 takes a quarter of the supplies. 1/3 takes a quarter of the supplies, and the 6/3 takes half the supplies, and 1/3 cares for the sick third, and the other third scouts out a new place for you to be, a new place for you to go that's not contaminated, and more resources. That's how I would split up the division of labor. So, just an idea. Again, Legacy of Mad Scientist, Legend of Ashley Fox, science fiction, fantasy for you guys, and our comic book as well, Ashley Fox, Ninja Babysitter. The chapter I wrote last night is awesome. So it's Valeria basically telling a group in the modern era that they are facing the end of the world as they know it, and here is why. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. All right, see you guys tomorrow. Bye.